has earnings ahead of us right after the Fed and Jackson Hole. That means it's going to be busy next week. Joining us, Dan Niles, to talk about what's ahead, founder and portfolio manager at Niles Investment Management. Dan, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Oliver.
So can we put in new highs for stocks before we get Nvidia earnings, or is that still a major force for equities?
No, I mean, I think it's a major force for equities. Obviously, the stock market's been up 8 days in a row. Today could be the ninth, which would be the longest stretch since 2004. It's up, 8%, 10 trading days. I mean, this is a ridiculously sharp recovery from what looked like Armageddon on August 5th when the Nikkei went down 12% in a day. So, do I think we get to new highs in the stock market later this year? Yes, I think there's a decent shot because I don't think we have a recession, which is the linchpin of that. But, Nvidia is obviously going to be very important on August 28th just for the AI trade. I think Nvidia will have great results. The guidance will be the big question mark. I think it probably is good enough, but obviously we've heard about their latest chip called Blackwell getting pushed out. But I'm not thinking about Nvidia, what it does this quarter. In general, the Mag 7, if you look at the 6 that have reported so far, on average, the day after reporting earnings, they've been down 4%. So, and other than Meta and Apple, the forward revenue estimates for the other 4 that reported, Google, Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft, they all went down. So it's been the right strategy and the one that I wrote about having going into this earnings season to be pretty circumspect into any one of these companies' results. And then you can engage on it afterwards because obviously expectations are really high into this Nvidia print.
Let's talk Microsoft and Apple first, because I do feel that there is an overlap between those two in that they're both offering consumer-facing AI products, whether it's the Assistant from Microsoft, if it's the new phone that's coming from the iPhone. They both have really run up in valuations, trading at like 33 times forward. Where is the confidence in Apple over Microsoft? It seems like, just reading from your notes and what I just heard, that you generally like Apple a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, what's the one consumer device we have with us 24/7? It's the smartphone.
Sure.
And so if you look at Apple to some degree, the reason I like it is because their revenue growth has been so pitiful for the last 3 years. If you look at it, they grew revenues 2% in calendar 22. They grew it 0% in calendar 23. And we're only talking about 4% revenue growth this year. I think next year you have a decent shot of this getting to double digits. And it's the only one of the Magnificent Seven where I think revenue growth actually improves next year versus decelerating. And so the valuation obviously for Apple's high, so is it for Microsoft, but you can say that for the entire S&P 500. So they're all pretty high, but I'm a growth-oriented investor. And so the one thing I've learned from hard experience is when things roll over, they tend to go lower than you ever imagined. And then when things start to improve, they seem to improve for longer than you expected. And for a big company like Apple, where the last big upgrade cycle was during COVID, which was 4 years ago, I think people are interested to check out this thing called AI and do it on the device they have with them all the time. Obviously, with Microsoft, it's, you're sitting in front of your PC or your laptop to do that. But with a smartphone, you can do that wherever you are because you probably have it in your pocket.
How much confidence do you have that the functionality is going to be groundbreaking? The 2 cents I've continued to offer here is as a Google phone user, I've already got the software on there for Gemini. It's cool, but it's not that much different. I don't think I'd go shell out $500 for it.
Well, but here's the thing, Oliver. The stock market is up a lot this year. Unemployment's sitting at 4%. And most people, they did their big upgrade on iPhones during COVID 4 years ago. So are you willing to go out and spend a few hundred, or $1,000 during Christmas to upgrade your iPhone? Yeah, I think consumers will do that because the upgrade cycle has been pushed out for a while. And remember, only less than 10% of the installed base of iPhones, which is about 1.2 billion iPhones out there, can run the new AI features. And unfortunately, as human beings, we have this, what does our neighbor have? And, oh, wow, they have a phone that can do AI, and Oliver has a phone, a Google phone that can do all this cool stuff. Well, mine can't. And I think it will lead to an upgrade cycle because remember, Apple only ships a little over 200 million phones a year. So if you think it's a 1.2 billion installed base, and less than 10% of them can run these cool new features because you have to have an iPhone 15 Pro or better, then I think, yeah, will it increase the percentage of people that upgrade every year? Yeah, I think it will this next year, and that's why I tend to like Apple.
Okay, but that thesis doesn't transfer over to Android phone cycle. Does the Alphabet trade have complications from search in there?
Yeah, I mean, Apple's not an Android play, right? I mean, Apple is a search play. So the question you have to ask yourself is, with over 90% market share in search, do you believe all of this CapEx spending we've heard on AI, do you think that drops? And if the answer to that is yes, then from a longer period of time, Apple's got a problem. I do believe there's some very interesting AI products out there. I think Perplexity is really good. I think Claude's really good. There's a lot of things that can eat into 90% market share. And you look at Microsoft with a ChatGPT powered Bing with like 3% market share. And do I think that goes up a little bit? Yes. And so I think from a longer term perspective, especially, and I'm not even talking about the antitrust stuff because it's another whole kettle of fish, but do I think Google's going to be able to pay to be the default search engine on devices like the iPhone in a couple of years from now when this finally gets settled? Absolutely not. I don't think they can do that. But even in the near term, do I think over the next X number of years, you pick it, they're going to lose share? I think absolutely that's going to end up happening.
One of the companies that's trying to kind of nibble away at their market a tad is Meta with their AI-powered now kind of search that they're offering within their apps. Kind of an interesting way that they're integrating that into some of their services. It kind of looks like Meta's the best chart right now. Am I wrong, Dan?
Meta's got the best fundamentals.
Okay.
And so you would hope that would mean they have the best chart. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sure.
In this case, it does. Because if you think of the 6 Magnificent 7 stocks that reported so far, only Meta and Apple had beat revenues, beat EPS, and then had forward revenues and EPS for September quarter go up. And that's despite Meta saying they were going to increase the amount of money they were spending on CapEx on AI. And so they're the best out of all of them in terms of using AI within their business because they're using AI to help figure out, hey, what does Oliver want to watch? Well, let me recommend this video to Oliver. And then, well, what kind of ad might Oliver want to engage with? Well, let me show this ad to Oliver. And so that's helping to drive their revenues as they're using AI to help drive that. And then obviously they have some consumer-facing AI products, which you brought up as well. And that is another leg of growth sitting on top of what they're already using AI for to improve the way their core business functions.
Okay, well, I think we see it in Mark Zuckerberg's attitude and his outward appearance. He's pretty stoked, seems pretty happy, and seems like he's got one of the best companies in the Mag 7. Great to catch up, Dan. Thanks for the walkthrough. Always like the Mag 7 analysis from you.